Did you know that approximately 1 in 4 women experience being left at the altar? Imagine the shock, the heartbreak, the embarrassment. Now, what if someone stepped in? Someone unexpected, someone who could completely change the course of your life. What would you do if you were left at the altar? This is the story of Olivia, a young woman from Atlanta who was left at the altar on what was supposed to be the happiest day of her life. She'd spent months planning her wedding, the dress, the flowers, the perfect venue in the heart of the city. But as the time for the ceremony came, Olivia stood there, waiting, her heart pounding, surrounded by family and friends, and her fiancé was nowhere to be found. What was supposed to be the happiest day turned into her worst nightmare. But this story isn't just about heartbreak. It's about how a millionaire, a complete stranger, stepped in to help her when everything seemed lost. Olivia had always dreamed of her wedding day. She was a proud woman from Atlanta, raised by a close-knit family where tradition meant everything. She had a steady job, a loving community, and a fiancé, Jason, a man she'd known for 5 years. They had built a life together. He was charismatic, successful, and well-known in their circles. It seemed like a fairy tale. They had been through so much. Olivia had supported him during tough times, and he had promised her a future full of happiness. But when Jason didn't show up at the altar, the weight of that promise shattered. Minutes turned into an hour. The guests began to whisper. Olivia's world was spinning. Where was Jason? What had happened? She checked her phone, but there were no texts, no calls. She waited and waited, but he didn't appear. The man she thought she was going to spend the rest of her life with was gone. The emotional toll hit Olivia hard. Not only was she abandoned by the man she loved, but she was humiliated in front of her family and friends. It was more than just a broken relationship. It was a public display of rejection. And in the Black community, there's a certain pride we hold in our weddings. The culture celebrates love, unity, and family. For Olivia, this day was supposed to be a celebration of those values, but instead, she found herself standing in front of a crowd feeling the sting of shame. Her dreams for the future seemed to vanish before her eyes. What would her family think? What would her friends say? This was more than just a broken heart. It was an emotional wound that cut deep into her sense of self-worth. Who was she without Jason? How could she face her community, her culture, and her life after being left like this? Jason was the man she thought would share that future with her. He was charming and had a way with words, but in reality, the cracks had been there for a while. Olivia had ignored the warning signs, the missed calls, the late nights at work, the times he didn't show up when he said he would. Still, she had hoped for the best, but on the day that was supposed to be the beginning of their forever, everything crumbled. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, Ethan Daniels, a self-made millionaire from Houston, was about to see Olivia's story unfold. Ethan wasn't the typical rich guy you'd expect in a city like Atlanta. His empire was built from the ground up, through hard work, grit, and a drive to overcome the struggles he'd faced in his own life. He was a tech entrepreneur and philanthropist who had turned a small startup into a multi-million-dollar business. But behind the success, Ethan's life had always been lonely. His parents had passed away when he was young, and he didn't have many close friends. He had poured everything into his career, never allowing himself to get too close to anyone. When Ethan saw Olivia's story on the news, it struck him in a way he hadn't expected. He saw a young Black woman, strong and poised, being abandoned in front of the world. Her pain felt familiar to him. Ethan, who had spent so many years working alone, understood loneliness on a deeper level. He wasn't some celebrity who put on a front. He was a man who had fought his way through life, and when he saw Olivia, something inside him told him he couldn't ignore her pain. He wanted to help, but how? After seeing Olivia's wedding disaster broadcast on social media, Ethan reached out to her, introducing himself through a mutual connection. At first, Olivia was skeptical. Who was this man and why did he care? But Ethan wasn't trying to pity her or swoop in as some savior. What he wanted was to offer a shoulder to lean on, someone who understood how hard life could be when it felt like everything was falling apart. "I've been where you are," Ethan told her when they first met. "I know the pain of being left behind, and I just want to listen. Sometimes that's all we need, to be heard." Olivia, unsure at first, agreed to meet him. She had nothing to lose. The dinner they shared wasn't the glamorous date she had once dreamed of. Instead, it was real, raw, and comforting.
Ethan didn't try to fix her. He simply shared his own experiences with loss and loneliness, and in doing so, Olivia felt understood. For the first time since her wedding day, she wasn't judged, she was seen. He didn't offer her advice on what to do next. Instead, he showed her that there was strength in vulnerability, that even in the darkest moments, there was room to grow. Over the weeks that followed, Ethan kept in touch with Olivia. He invited her to attend networking events, helped her reconnect with her career, and gently encouraged her to start focusing on herself again. Ethan didn't offer her money or extravagant gifts. He gave her something far more precious: his time, his attention, and a safe space to heal. Slowly, Olivia began to regain her sense of self. She started taking on new projects at work, rediscovered her love for design, and even reconnected with her community. Ethan's support was constant, but it was never forced. He simply gave her the tools to reclaim her life, and Olivia began to realize that she was capable of so much more than she had ever imagined. Months later, Olivia was thriving. She had launched her own design firm, traveled to places she had only dreamed of, and even started dating again. This time for herself, not because she was seeking validation from someone else. And through it all, she remained in touch with Ethan, who had become one of the few people she trusted completely. Sometimes life's most difficult moments lead us to unexpected places. Olivia's heartbreak became the catalyst for her greatest transformation. Thanks to Ethan's unexpected intervention, she learned that true strength doesn't come from avoiding pain. It comes from embracing it, learning from it, and using it as fuel to build a better future. What would you do if you were in Olivia's shoes? Have you ever faced a challenge that changed your life in unexpected ways? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to hear more inspiring stories like this one, make sure to check out our next video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.